daunting to go look at the test plan just to figure out how to set it up.
Yeah.
And so I always try to say, or if there's like, this setting needs to be changed that are not new system preferences, or, there's a new button in this place that needs to be flipped. Anything like that, I try to put so that people who are reading the system, reading the notes, but maybe aren't even looking at Bugzilla, especially if someone's trying to like share it out to other people in their organization, try to make them as helpful as possible.
That's good advice, Lizette. Thank you. I think that's one, thing that we always miss is sometimes the system preferences that get tied in. And that's a good suggestion.
So for the question from earlier, where to file problems with the manual, use Bugzilla. I checked on IRC with Carolyn. She's still tied up, but she'll come in later.
Thank you,
so
Katrin.
Bugzilla is fine.
Okay, good. All right. Maybe we could do another example of adding some more into Bugzilla, or is there another one that anyone would like to see us do an example of?
I've got a bug here that needs some text to go into the release notes.
All right, let's do it.
It's bug 24476, which allows patrons to opt out of auto renew.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Of course, now that I've said that, I have to think about what those words might be.
All right, let's look. Some patrons. Nick, this is your bug. Did you file this one? Yay.
I did.
So he's so happy I brought it up.
Just like, oh, you're pointing out what I didn't do, Andrew. Thanks.
Or what I didn't do.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes a village to not do something.
Don't
okay, so
my name might appear.
This development will allow a patron to opt out of auto renewals. The cron will ignore these checkouts, and items will be renewable both via the staff and OPAC. Boy, this is huge because people are always like getting upset. I'll leave it at that. That they can't manually renew if something's on automatic renew. So this is great.
And honestly, I think what Nick wrote in that first post is a pretty good release note text. I mean, I would skip that first sentence, but otherwise.
Yeah.
And then also the next paragraph, patrons will be able to flag themselves. Staff will also be able to.
And there's a new syspref.
Okay, we got to add that in.
I can't remember, Nick, was the ability to change that on the OPAC, was that it's the ability for patrons to change it for themselves, I should say. Was that its own system preference, or was that just borrower self-mod unwanted?
No, it used to be that, but now it is the syspref.
Okay.
So I think you can still also hide it using the unwanted, because it is a field in the borrower's table.
I'm reading what Jay-Z's scrolling through, and there was somebody said, and then there's a thingy that does a thing, and I was like, who wrote that? Oh,
I did the same thing, Andrew. Then a thingy in the category to allow individual category to differ. Okay.
I don't think we made that thingy though.
No, that's the thing. And that's one of the things about reading through a bug, is you might actually want to start at the bottom and kind of start to read upwards. Because if you start from the top and try to read down, you're going to get the whole history of changes. And this happens to be the kind of bug where we did, I think, go through 3 different approaches before hitting the actual final solution to this. So I put in the chat the syspref that it actually ended up using.
Okay.
the way that this works now is actually that the option is always there for staff to opt a patron out of auto renewal, and then the syspref allows you to control whether the patrons themselves can opt in or out.
So there's just one system preference, not two.
Just one system preference.
Okay.
And the options for the system preference are allow only staff or allow patrons.
Only patrons or just allow patrons?
It should say allow staff and patrons probably.
Okay.
If somebody wants to file that bug, we can go ahead and update that. But right now it just says allow only staff or allow patrons.
I debated asking you for that change yesterday.
Fair.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to hit save changes. All right. High fives. For some reason, it just feels like awkward, and we live in Zoom every single day, and I just feel like I'm making it things so awkward. We're in Zoom every single day.
Because you know we're being watched.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So, Nick was saying earlier, start at the bottom, and that's usually what I'll do is I'll start at the first comment and see if it's helpful. Because sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's no information. Sometimes there's just like a bug was filed, and that's like comment 1, and then patches were attached. And so sometimes I feel like it's gotten better lately, but that might just be the ones I've been looking at. I'm not sure. So it's very nice when you're submitting a bug to put in information like this. And then what I'll do is I'll go down, especially on this where there's like 70 or 80 comments, go down to find the most recent test plan, because that's usually the clearest information, especially once patches have started getting attached. That's usually the easiest way to tell what's going on.
That's good advice, Lizette. Thank you. Okay, maybe we could find one more, and hopefully by then we'll have Carolyn back, because I know she has a little presentation that she wants to do about documentation. So maybe we could find one more we can do, and then we'll talk a little bit more about documentation. I'm going to call Kelly out. Kelly, I know you all are working on 1911. Yes. Is there anything that you saw in there that we could maybe update, or something that?
Let me pull up the document.
I've got another one if Kelly does not.
Okay, Andrew, hit us up.
Bug 3137. And I'm just scrolling through things that have been recently pushed to master. And this one seemed like probably it could have some contained and sensible wording.
I'm so excited about this bug.
It is pretty cool. I hadn't really looked at it, but it's a great idea.
We use a bunch of jQuery to make this happen, and it's always the first thing people complain about if our jQuery breaks, because we're messing around with it.
Oh, this is nice. Okay, so I'm going to jump down to the bottom. This patches add a sys pref, hide fields, add patron form that controls which field sets are hidden by default in the patron form. Perfect.
Got to change a little something. We changed the syspref name later on. It's now collapse, I think, instead of hide.
So this is not hiding them, it's making them collapse. So you click on them and they pop out.
Yeah, you click on the heading of the section and then it fills up, and it's
Cool.
nice.
Yeah, a nice middle ground between hiding it entirely and, making it get out of your way.
Yeah.
Collapse fields add patron from?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that is the most recent name of the thing.
Is it form or from, you think?
It's
I think
form.
it is form.
Okay. Okay.
That's what it says in the patch.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's multi-select and has the headings of the different sections in the patron form, like patron attributes or something, and then you can check and uncheck the things.
Do you want to see it real quick? I have it up on my screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yes.
It's tiny. If I can find my screen. There we go. Collapse fields patron add form. Ooh. So then
That's magic.
Yeah, those are all the individual boxes of your patron form.
Can you check something so we can see in the patron form?
Awesome.
Oh, I like having patron messaging preferences in there. I've definitely had libraries want to hide those. I don't know. Let's hit a couple other things. Library management seems like a terrible choice. And grab a patron. And library management would be
there. It is.
There. Just a little. So I click that.
Yes.
Pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da! And those are some fascinating values in sort 1 and sort 2. And patron messaging preferences. Boop. Cool. Anyway, that's
awesome. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'll share my screen again. Okay. I'm going to come back and okay, I'm going to hit this. All right.
One thing, I try to write patch notes when I'm signing off too, because that's when you notice all the things like which system preferences you have to set, like you're already going through the test plan. If it's something that's like working pretty well, I don't know. Nobody's told me not to do that when I do it. So I think that that's okay. And we can update them if something changes as they get changed. Kate would be the one to.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about that. There's multiple people signing off. So like the next person that comes in, I think it's always helpful to read like what the other person experienced or anything that'll help them along the way. That's for sure. All right. Let's do another one. Let's see. I'm going to go look on. Oh, good, Carolyn. Okay. Carolyn should be here soon. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Katrin.
Should we show where the notes go in the release notes or the pre-release notes?
Yeah. All right.
So we have a Git repository for the release notes, and while we work on the next version, they already get generated every night. So you can see the changes you made on Bugzilla quite soon. I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. So 19.12, this is the development version. So what's going to be 20.05 once it's released. And it almost looks like the release notes will look later.
Wow, so this goes in and pulls everything out of Bugzilla for that specific one. Boy, that's great. I've never seen this live.
So you can have a sneak peek every time you want.
Yeah. We'll put this, we can share this link in YouTube if anyone else is interested. Now, how does this get pushed to the website? Does the release manager just write the blog post when this gets pushed for the final version?
So this is done with a script and automatically published to GitLab, don't ask me. Usually we do some last minute manual fixes and additions, like there's usually a thank you section or something that gets added last minute. And that is included in the release as a file and then copied to be published on the website and everywhere else. Nick, do you want to add something as former release manager?
Sorry, I was typing an email.
Caught you.
This is just about how the release notes get generated and updated here. Yeah, it's an automatic process. We kind of go through and give it a once over, but largely we just accept them as they come through. The biggest part that we have in here is that when we look through the bugs, if we see something that should be listed here and has no information, then we go back to the bug and say, please add to the release notes here. That usually happens about a month to 2 weeks before the release is when we're really going through this and kind of looking those up. But if you ever, any bugs you see out there that you want more details on, please ask the developers to put them into the release notes. It would not hurt to have a release notes note for almost everything that goes in. Probably more features than bugs, because the bugs should be pretty obvious by the title what they fix.
And so Heather just asked a question on our YouTube live stream, and she said, I tuned in a little late. Does the text put that release notes box, does that get incorporated into the manual? And Heather, we talked about that a little bit in the beginning too, because we were curious about the same thing, because that's a good place to start if something needs to be added into the manual. And then we kind of went through and just started adding some of those in because, again, it's a good place to start.
So it's not automatically added to the manual, but the documentation team will use it as a starting point for sure when they are going to write up things. So everyone can, of course, use it as a starting point to patch the manual.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lizette made a good point too, Heather. I don't know if when you jumped in, but Lizette made a good point and said, if she's signing off on a bug, she'll try and put that information in as she's going along, whether it's, requires a system preference or any additional information to help the next person that's going in to either sign off or, view the bug. So they have a little more information. And really now that we, it's a good process. It'll help us get documentation a lot faster into the manual if we have a lot more of these notes in there to get started. So like we said in the beginning, even if you're not comfortable, using Bugzilla, or you're just looking for a place to start, this is a great way to do it. Even if you're reading through the bug or giving feedback, you can of course always contact us or ask us at Bywater Solutions. We have a lot of partners that will kind of like give us information and we'll file the bug on their behalf. But the librarians and the staff that are using Koha, you know, you're the ones that are experiencing how things should work, and we rely on you to give us that feedback to make it, you know, a stronger product. And I think that the more information that we have from you, the better documentation can be. I don't know, I feel like giving everybody a hug now. It always gives me the happies. Heather said, thank you, that's cool to know, and it's a great way to contribute. Yeah, awesome. Does anyone have any other ones that they want to share? Katrin, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that another thing that you can do is check if the descriptions and the modules, I always say that wrong, if they match up. So if you see something that is fine and is in circulation, you can push it into the right, what's it called here, component, and then we'll change in the release notes as well. And will also help putting together things in the right chapters later for the manual.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
Oh, fixed
Just noticed the bug.
typos.
I just noticed that bug that we were looking at was reported in 2009 and is getting pushed now. And it's always kind of fun to see the old bugs getting pushed out. Ones that are, you know, this one's only 4 digits, but I didn't really think about that when we were putting it in. Like, oh, that one's only 4 digits. It's pretty old. But like,
Yeah.
11 years old. Almost, I mean, like just under a month to 11 years old.
Every time one of these bugs makes it in, it gives me the happies. I'm like, oh, 4-digit bug, yes.
Yes.
I'm really easy to make happy. And we had quite a few lately of the 4-digit ones that certainly got some attention.
I think the last time we did one of these, I intentionally went and found the oldest bug in existence that needed sign off and signed it off, which has now turned into a big discussion about what that bug should do. Right? So I kind of kicked the hornet's nest, but it's been fun to watch. Very interesting.
Now I'm curious.
It was the report problem screen.
Oh.
Where it's an enhancement to let a patron on the OPAC like click a button to say, I'm having a problem with the screen, and it sends a notification to the library.
You should check on the status and get this done this week. I think Alicia did some more work on it that should help.
Yeah, see if I can get it signed off again.
So I'm checking on Carolyn again.
I think, Caroline, hi. Did you jump on Zoom?
Yeah, sorry, I'm listening to 2 meetings at the same time, so I'm a bit confused, but I'll be there in about 2 minutes.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
Sorry.
Awesome. Caroline is joining us from in Libro, and she'll be talking with us in a few minutes. So maybe one more we can get documentation in for.
I'm just looking at the release notes, and there's a bunch of like acquisitions ones in the 1912 release notes that are enhancements that don't have release notes, although a lot of them just have, you know, the title is like add table configuration on suggestions table.
Oh yeah.
Sounds
Like,
great, but
it does sound great, but the description of the bug is pretty helpful.
You're very brave to even look at acquisitions bugs.
I'm only looking at the ones that are already signed off. Push past QA even. Because these are just the ones from the release notes.
Oh.
You know, there's convert issuing rules fields to circulation rules, which might be good to have a note because that's going to change the table. That's 18936.
Perfect.
Which only has 162 comments.
Okay, let's go down to the bottom.
My understanding of this one is that it has absolutely no impact on like the user interface. This is a change to the database.
This is all for developers. The front end should not change one bit.
Well,
If we did it right, everything will continue to work as expected. Everything will continue to work as it did before.
Did the table name change?
Yes.
I was going to say that maybe for reporting purposes, it would make sense to add a note that the database tables have changed.
Yeah. Last week, I spent a morning making a really nice diagram of all the different tables that circ rules live in. And then when I was done, Nick messaged me to say, hey, so this bug exists that's going to make them all be in one table. So your nice diagram will be right for a little bit.
It was still a really pretty diagram, Andrew.
And it'll be helpful for some months, and that'll be great.
Oh, I think we had another person join. I'm not sure. David, hi. I'm not sure if he has a microphone or not, but David's also joining us. David Nin. Hi, David. Okay, we have some awkward silence, so I'm going to open up and ask any of our viewers out there, do you have any questions for us about documentation? Or about adding things to the release notes or Bugzilla or anything that would tie into our virtual Hackfest week?
Good morning.
So I'm still listening to two meetings, but I can maybe jump in and start my slides if you want.
Okay.
Yay! Okay. It's just it's going on and on and on, you know. So anyway, yeah. So for people who aren't in the organizing team of this meeting, is that we're just on lockdown here in Montreal, starting today, and my team is doing a meeting right now for how to organize everything. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here at the start of the meeting, but I will jump in right now.
All right.
So can I share my screen? Yes. Okay. Okay, there we go. So, all right, can you see my slides?
Yeah, they look great.
Okay. I wanted to talk to you about actually editing the Koha manual. So from what I understood from my chats with Kate, is that you talked about a bit about Bugzilla and everything. So I'll show you exactly how to, if you really want to get involved in the Koha manual, you can do it. It's very easy. So the first thing to do is to create a GitLab account. GitLab is where the Koha manual is hosted. And it's what permits us to do a version control of the manual. So we get to see everything that comes in. If someone makes an error, we can go back a version. It's really not a problem. Optional also is you can, if you're getting ready to do an edit in the documentation, is that to open, sorry, just a second. Okay, sorry. Optional is also to open a sandbox. So I love to use the Bywater sandbox. I think they're very easy to set up. So you can do that and use the development version of Koha to test the new things that you don't necessarily have in your own Koha installation. So this is the address for the manual. So yeah, so if you need to go, it's there. So when you go into GitLab, my meeting finally finished. Thank God. I'm not hearing two feeds at once. Okay. When you go in GitLab, you'll see this is the file structure of the manual, and everything is in the source directory. And all the chapters are just individual files. So you'll see on the side, acquisitions, administration, cataloging. So if you need to edit something in a particular chapter, you go into that file. So to make a change in the manual, well, the first thing is if you're documenting a new feature or an enhancement, test it in a sandbox to make sure you understand how it works. And you can take screenshots and everything. I'll show you how to add those. In GitLab, you navigate to the file of the chapter. There's an edit button at the top that you'll see. So you can click on that. You make your change in the text directly. You write a commit message. So this is just a message saying what you changed. So if you have a bug number that you can add that. If you're working on an older version of Koha, you're just like correcting a typo or correcting something that applies to an older version, make sure you put in the version number in your message so I know to put it in that manual also, because otherwise, well, I or the current documentation manager, because otherwise it's just going to go in the last manual. And then you click commit change, and then you click submit merge request. So I put those steps here so that you have them, because I'll share my slides afterwards, so you can have the procedure there. So now I'm gonna try to do a live demo. So I'll just
You're amazing.
Okay. Just find I have so many things open. I think it's this. Is it this one? Yeah, I'll try this one. Okay, I don't have it open here, but it's not a problem. So okay, so I'm going to go on GitLab. I already have my account, so I'm just going to go into the Koha Community Koha Manual project. So this is the URL that's in the slides that you'll get if you want to get them. Going in source. And what is it that I decided that I want to do? Oh yeah. So it was a system preference. So it was for this bug here, change item call number system preference to allow multiple tags. So I've been waiting for this a long time. I'm so happy it's finally in Koha. So I'm going to go and document it. So there is a chapter for system preferences. And I'm just going to click edit right away because it's never going to load. It's too big. So I'm just going to click on this. And there we go. So I'll do item call. So I just did Control F to search in the text, and I'm searching for the name of the, there we go, the name of the system preference. So this is written in, it's called sorry, with my accent it's impossible to say, but restructured text. So, and in the wiki, in the Koha wiki, there is information on how to format your written text to appear in a certain way. So if I do, actually I have it here. No, I don't have it here. Okay, editing Koha manual. There we go.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So in the editing the Koha manual page on the wiki, there is at the bottom, if you go all the way at the bottom, restructured text tips and tricks. So if you click on that, you'll see the headings. So what we do for the headings is that we just put the text of the heading and then we add a line with a bunch of symbols, and the symbols indicate which level of heading it is. So the little hat, I don't know how it's called, little accent that's a hat, is a 4th level heading. So that's what is here. And then the notes, so you can do lists, you can do important with little stars, you can add links, you can add notes, and you even have like just a system preference thing already made here, so you can just copy that if it's a new system preference. But I'm just going to edit this one. So it's item call number. And I already wrote my text yesterday, so you didn't have to see me think and type. So it asks map the blah, blah, blah. This setting determines blah, blah, blah. So I'll just add another bullet point here. Woo! So you don't have to wrap your things the way I did. You can just leave it as just one big line. But I think it's just easier to read when it's, in a little paragraph that's all cozy. Okay, yeah, and I had one important thing to add. So I'm indenting the text here so it's at the same level as my paragraph that I did at the top here. I tested it yesterday in a sandbox, and I noticed that if you want to write more than one tag in this system preference, you must not put spaces after the commas, because I usually write, for example, 082A comma space and then 090A comma space, but you must not do that. It doesn't work if you put a space. So I just wrote an important note here to make sure it's the readers know that too. Okay, I'm going to put in my commit message. So I'm just going to say updated, whoops, sorry. Updated item call number, whoops. System preference, bug, and it's 3426. And this, you leave it like that. You click on commit change. It's going to create what's called a merge request. So, oh no, sorry. It didn't create a merge request because I am currently the documentation manager. I'm so sorry. I didn't think about that. But it just merged automatically because anyway because I have the access rights. But normally it would create a merge request, and you just click on what was it again? Send merge request or something like that. And I'm going to get an email saying this person did a change in the Koha manual, and you can, I'm going to go and merge it, and you'll see your changes in the manual. All right, so that was my live edit. Do I still have time to do the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We can keep going.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna share my slides again. Okay. Well, why is it not? Oh, slideshow start? No, doesn't want to. Doesn't feel like it. Anyway. Next is adding images. So if you're doing new features, you can add images, screenshots particularly. So I prepared something yesterday also to do a live edit for you, but I'm gonna put the, but these are the steps that you have to follow. So you add an image, usually it's PNG, to the images folder. You add a link in the images RST file, so that's for restructured text. And then you add a link to the image in your chapter. So it's a bit weird, but you'll see when I do it that it's really not that difficult. So, sorry, in the file structure, you'll see there's an image folder. In that image folder, you can simply click on plus and upload a file. So that's to add the image to the image folder. And then you add your link in the images.rst file. So I'll show you, it's a bit small here, but I'll show you how it looks afterwards. And then you add the link in your chapter where you want your image to appear. Okay, so I'm going back in. I'll stop this share. I'll start another share.
Slides are just the best. Maybe it's me.
Okay. So if you're ever lost, there's a breadcrumbs thing at the top, so you can just go back to source. There we go. I'm gonna go with image. And I forgot to mention, but in the images folder, you have a bunch of subfolders that represents all the chapters. So my image that I want to put is in point of sale, so which is a new feature, completely new in 2005 that you'll get to see a little bit in advance. So I'm gonna upload a new file. Click to upload. What was it called again? Shoot. Oh, it's in. Shoot. Where did I put it? Shoot. Okay, so I'm just going to do an example with my GIF. So sorry, I'm going to undo it afterwards. So like I said, this GitLab thing makes it possible to go back if you do an error. So I'm going to purposely do an error, and I'll be able to undo it afterwards. So I'm going to upload image for point of sale. So don't be afraid to try things, because again, you know, we can undo it. If you say, oh my God, I did something that I wasn't supposed to, it's not the end of the world.
Because you have a million screenshots on your desktop.
Yeah,
You grabbed the
exactly.
wrong one. It happens.
Exactly. So I added my image to the did I add it at the right place? Oh no, what did I do? My boyfriend says revert. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this. Delete file.
I love doing things live.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize.
There's the cat.
No, listen, earlier, Caroline, before you got on, we were having like awkward silence and we were just like, we do these Zooms every day. Why are we so awkwardly silent? And Nick was like, because people are watching us live.
Exactly.
That's it. It is.
Okay, hopefully this is gonna work. So here, I'm gonna use this one. Do it live. Upload point of sale image. Is it gonna work this time? Please, please, please. No, I don't know why it's not working. Okay. Ah, the joys of life, right?
I think you need to change directory. Maybe you're in the not in the images at the moment.
Right, but I remember going in here.
I think it edited here the last time you did it.
But then if I click on
Yeah.
upload file
I
here.
think it works now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try with the PNG. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to upload, random things. I'm just gonna leave it at upload new file. See, no, it puts it back at the source.
Huh.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yeah, me too.
I did it yesterday and it worked fine, so I know it works.
And it should work.
It should work. So I'm not sure why it's not working. I wonder if I try to, maybe it's just because I'm trying to do it with my manager account. I think I have. Okay, so that was the one. Okay, just gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna try to use my colleague's account to do this again. So it was in point of sale. Where did it go? Okay, so I'll just put it in here. Upload file. I think I understood what was the problem. It's because I was seeing a version that's not the real one, probably. Why does it not want to open? I'm sorry, everyone. So, okay. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do a live edit of that one. But so you would upload your file. If you have any problems, you can email me or write to me on IRC, and I will try to help you. I'll try to figure out what the problem is with this one. And then what you do is that you go into the images.irc, not IRC, RST. Where is it? Images here. You click on edit. And this is just a big file of a gazillion redirect links. So what we do is we add a link. So we just add, right now it's just like a sequential number. So I'm going to add 1451. I say it's a link to an image. You can just, I always just copy the line above. And then what you do is you write the path to your image. So I'm gonna say admin. Okay. So I would say like point of sale, for example, something like that. So you do that. You commit your change for that one, and then the last step is adding your link. So this is your redirect link, the image 1451. You add that in your chapter where you want your image to appear. So let's say I'm going to go in acquisitions, for example. I'm going to edit and see there. So we have a link here that links to an image, another one. So you just add it wherever you want it to appear. All right, and you would commit that also. So I'm not going to commit that because it doesn't exist. But I hope even through all the not workings that you still understand how it works. So I'm just going to share my slides again.
And Carolyn, I just want to let you know that you're getting shout outs on the YouTube live. People
Okay.
are saying this is so cool. And
thank you.
And they said it's actually reassuring to see how to delete the image.
Oh, okay. Good to know. All right, so that was the adding images. Now I want to show you how to replace an image. So if you see that a screenshot is an old one and you find that it's not representative of the actual version, you can replace it. So that's a lot easier than how to add an image, because the two last steps are already done. So the link is already in the chapter, and the link is already in the images.rst file. So the only thing you have to do is change the image, basically. So what you do is you give your image the same name as the one you're replacing, and then you add it to the images folder. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then if of course you write a commit message saying, replaced this image, and then you commit, and we'll receive that. Do you still see my slides?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Do you see pros of working on documentation?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was it for the demonstration. And again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'll give you my email at the end, and or I'm also on IRC pretty much every day of the week. So I'm always available to help new writers. So the pros of working on documentation is that you get to learn new things. So while I was working on documentation, I learned a lot about how Git works and how my colleagues develop Koha, and so I love learning, and documentation is a great place, and it's an easy place to start learning new things. You also learn new features before they come out. So if you want to document new features, you get to see them before everyone else. And you also help the Koha community, and you help all your colleagues that are using Koha. And when they're searching through the manual and they're not finding what they want, well, you're helping them find what they want. So we need you. Anybody can work on documentation. Anybody who uses Koha, anybody who develops Koha, even just volunteers who are interested in Koha. And I personally don't work with Elasticsearch or OAI. So if you work with those two tools, please reach out, because I have no idea how they work. So if you know how they work, you'd be a great addition to the team.
We submitted a bug this morning, Carolyn. That was the first thing we did on saying that the manual needed documentation for Elasticsearch. So I'm volunteering with Nick. He already escaped, but we'll try and put as much in. We'll try and do a brain dump as much as we can into the manual for Elasticsearch, because we have several libraries that are in production using Elastic. So we'll be happy to update that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And also, if you sponsored new features or enhancements, you would be the best to know how they work. So don't hesitate to add to the manual if you added something to Koha. I put in resources. So again, like I said, I will share these slides. So I put a bunch of resources at the end. And if you have questions, here's my email. And I'm either Caroline or Caroline Cat Lady on IRC, because depending on the day, it depends on when my IRC clients decide to name me. So that's it. Did you have any questions?
We do. We have a question in the chat.
Oh.
So Heather's asking, they're on 1905, and if I think of something to add to the manual, should I test it on the latest version of Sandbox, add it to the manual on GitLab, and put a note in as it applies to an older version in the commit message?
Yes. So what I would do is test it on a Sandbox and document the latest version, and then I'll put it in 1911 and also 1905 manuals. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, if there aren't any other questions, I guess it was clear as day how I explained it.
Well, can you, Caroline, would it be okay to share your slides? I know you mentioned that you would, but we had somebody ask too in the chat about share. Perfect. Okay. And we'll share them too. And this has really been wonderful. Thank you to everyone that has joined us this morning to view, and to everyone that jumped on our our Zoom session, Katrin, Caroline, David, Lizette, and the Bywater team. Thank you so much. I hope this helped people get a little bit of an understanding of like how you can go in Bugzilla and report things, add things to the documentation notes. Carolyn, you did an amazing job of doing a demonstration live.
Yes.
People documentation. Thank you for doing that. And again, to all our listeners out there, thank you so much. If you need help at any time, you know where to find us in IRC, our partners if you're in Slack. Thank you.
Thank you.